Welcome everyone. Welcome to Hindu Center of Atlanta's weekly spiritual learning program. Acharya Brahmadev ji has joined us. Today, Acharya ji will be talking about Sanatan Hindu Dharma has its roots in Vedas. There is a multitude of literature, the Upanishads, Brahmana Granths, Upanishads, Darshan Shastra, the Itihas, Ramayana by Maharshi Valmiki, and Mahabharata with Gita as essential teachings by Maharshi Vyas. The common man is confused with such profuse literature about one and the same Sanatan Dharma. How do we explain the common thread among these texts? Is the final purpose one or many or different? And what is the real objective? Acharya ji will help us to understand all these contradictions. Over to Acharya ji.
Om. Namaste sabhi ko. Let's start by bringing our mind to focus. Sit down straight, closing the eyes gently. Deep inhale and exhale. While exhaling, we'll chant Om 3 times. And after that, Gayatri Mantra, which is also known as Maha Mantra or Savitri Mantra. And while chanting Om as well as Gayatri Mantra, be focused on the pronunciation, the sound waves, and how the vibrations resonate within our body. Om Bhurabhuvah Swaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Na Prachodayat. Joining the palms together, rub them gently, cover the eyes, and slowly open the eyes below the palms. Again, namaste and welcome to all. The subject of today is about Sanatan Dharma, looking into the multitude of literature. Often the question comes, what is Sanatan Dharma? Sanatan means that which has no beginning and no end. It's timeless. And if it's timeless, we should also know what are the timeless things in this universe. One entity is Ishvara, and the general word is God. Second is Atma, which we know commonly as the soul. And third is Prakriti at the fundamental stage, Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas, the three gunas. These are things which were there from time immemorial and would always be there even after the dissolution of this current creation. Jiskana Adi और न अंत है, वो सनातन है. Now, if we look into Sanatan Dharma, which is commonly also known as Hindu Dharma, what is there as Sanatan in the text? Sanatan in the various texts of Hindu Dharma is only the Shruti, the Vedas, which is known as Shruti because this is the eternal knowledge revealed to mankind at creation and which was passed on by the rishis who received the revelation to subsequent generations by word of mouth, hence the name of Shruti. So the root scriptures of Sanatan Dharma is the Veda, known as the four Vedas because it's in four tomes. Rigved, which is about Jnana, knowledge. Yajurved, which is about karma, actions. Samved, which is about upasana, bhakti, devotion, meditation. And Atharvaved, which is Vidyan, science. And from there on, our rishis started unfolding the mantras, the knowledge ingrained in the mantras. What is a mantra? Mantra trayate iti mantra. Mantra contains a thought in the seed form. इस पे मनन करेंगे, चिंतन करेंगे तो हमारे नए ज्ञान विज्ञान मिलेगा उस आधार पे और उस मंत्र के ज्ञान को हम खोल सकते हैं. So the mantras, being the knowledge in the seminal or seed form, were unfolded by the rishis, and that occurred during the meditation, dhyan, samadhi process. And from there on, they wrote the Upavedas, and we know the Upavedas. There is Gandharva Ved, which is about music. There are one which is about military science, and so many others. So these are knowledge derived from the Vedas according to mantras and codified into specific subjects. Then we have the Brahman Granthas. There also the learned sages compiled them, the knowledge, like the most common, which is known is Shatpat Brahman, which is about philosophy again and the philosophy of life. Thereafter, we had the Upanishads. The Upanishads, Up means near. So sitting near, and sitting near what? Sitting near the knowledge given to us, handed over to us by God. So it's the spiritual sciences in the Upanishads. We also have the Griha Sutras, which explains about various codes of how to live life and what are the rituals, also some of them. We have the Darshan Shastras, the 6, as we say, branches of philosophy, but its fundamental is Vedic philosophy, the philosophy of Sanatan Dharma. Yoga, Sankhya, Vaisheshik, Nyaya, Mimamsa, and Vedanta. All these Darshan Shastras with one simple objective, God realization, Ishwar Sakshatkar. The process described in each of them are slightly different, but the end goal is to realize that one and only God, which is qualified in the Vedas, Ekam Sat Vipra Bahuda Vadanti. Ekam Ishwar Ek, one and only one. Sat Vipra Bahuda Vadanti. जिसकी सत्ता विद्वान लोग अनेक नामों से पुकारते हैं. So who learned people describe or call by various names. Each of these names refer to one particular characteristic or one particular action of God. And after that, we have the Ramayana and the Mahabharata. Ramayana by Maharshi Valmiki and Mahabharata by Maharshi Vyas are the core of our Itihas, describing the life of eminent personalities as inspiring role models to us. So if I take from the Vedas, which I'll take one mantra from Rig Veda, Mandal subchapter 6, Sukta 18, and mantra 15. It says, Anudyava Prithivi Tatte Ojo Martya Jihatindra Deva Krishwa Krishno Kritam Yatta Te Atstyo Ukrta Niviyo Janayaswa Yajay. So what's it saying there? Deva, O man, the goal of the human form of life is to turn your Janma into Divya Janma. That is a bright, enlightened birth. If we look, it's from the Veda, Rig Veda, the first of the tomes. And the same knowledge is going into more details in the Vedas, the Brahman Granthas, the Upanishads, Darshan Sastra. And when we come to realize Divya Janma, then the role model comes into the Ramayana by Sri Ram as Maryada Purushottam Sri Ramchandra Ji. Maryada because he was the one who lived life within the framework of Dharma. Dharma, which we know generally from Manusmriti, the 10 tenets. Dhriti Kshama Damosteyam Shaucham Indriya Nigraha Dhi Vidya Satyam Makrodho Dashakam Dharma Lakshanam. Amongst others, Dhriti, patience, Kshama, forgiveness, compassion, Dhamma, self-control, Asteya, non-stealing, Saucha, purity of mind, body and spirit, Indriya Nigraha, self-restraint, control over the senses, Dhi, intellect, and Vidya, knowledge, combining knowledge and Vidya, knowledge, Vidya, and Dhi, intellect. Then we get the enlightened mind, Satya, truth, Akrodho, non-anger. And these, if we look into the Vedas, we'll see various mantras addressing probably one of the subjects or a few of the subjects in one and the same mantra. And the Upanishad leads to the same thing. Darshan Shastra again, especially Yog Darshan, Nyaya Darshan, with the logic of Nyaya Darshan. So it's a way of bringing to us what are the goals of life and how do we go about that? And if we come into the Mahabharata, especially with the teachings of the Gita, I'm not talking about the various interpretations, I'm going to the source by Maharshi Vyas. Though it's not given in the same way as Manu has unfolded to us in Manu Smriti, we find various shlok referring to each of these universal, eternal, evergreen values of human life. And this is what forms part of dharma that enables us to live a righteous life. And from dharma leading a life on the path of righteousness, we'll move to the second step, which is arth. By living a righteous life, we'll always be prompted to go on righteous earnings. And then the third step is karma, righteous enjoyment from the righteous earnings. And after that, mukti, moksha, which is the fourth and last, final step of human life. Dharma, artha, kama, moksha, which is called the four purusharth, in simple form, that has been given to us by the rishis. And we know the samarpan prarthana in Sandhya, He Ishwar Daya Nidhe, Bhavat Kripaya Nena Chapopasna Di Karmana, Dharmartha Kama Mokshanam Sadhya Siddhir Bhavena. ईश्वर हमारे लिए जल्दी ये सिद्धियां दें. कौन सी सिद्धि? धर्म, अर्थ, काम, मोक्ष. So, O Ishwar God, empower us to realize the four purusharth as four siddhis. To live a righteous life, dharma, to earn righteously, artha, to derive righteous enjoyment from the righteous earnings, artha, kama, and then move on to mukti, which is liberation from the cycle of birth and death, which is understood as salvation also in simple terms, though there are no equivalent word for these Hindi and Sanskrit terms. So the common the common thread among these texts are that all these texts promote dharma as the essence of human life, as the fundamentals of human life. And from there on, whatever we do, we are earning a living, we're enjoying life, everything will be based or anchored on dharma. So the final purpose also is the same. It's one and the same goal or objective of human life. And we know from the Vedas, it says, avidya mrityu vidya amritam mashnute. Avidya mrityu, that is when we don't have the complete knowledge. We are walking on the path of partial knowledge, half knowledge, incomplete knowledge, or wrong knowledge. We are going to always go in the cycle of birth and death. We'll only die to be reborn. But vidya mritam mashnute, which is from the last chapter of the Yajurveda and Ishopanishad also. It says on the path of true knowledge, we'll attain that position of moksha, mukti, where we break the cycle, we stop going to the cycle of birth and death. And if we look into the Ramayana, especially let's look into the common serial of the most famous serial of the Ramayana. I think it's by Ramanand Sagar, especially the episode where Ram is in the Gurukul. And at the start of where he goes into the Gurukul, Maharshi Vashisht is giving them, all the children, the induction lines or text. It says, now you are all equal in front of me, whether you are the son of the king or you are the son of the common man. Because that knowledge is to be acquired by simple living a life where you are dedicated only to your studies. And when departing the Gurukul, again reminding Sri Ram of the goal of life, Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. And in the Gita, we see Yogiraj Shri Krishna pushing Arjun to the path of rising above avidya, where he was confused, looking more into the relationship with the gurus and cousin brothers, etc., who were all on the wrong side. More mamta, affection, inordinate attachment. That is avidya. And Sri Krishna gives the knowledge of the Gita in the various shlok. If we analyze, he's talking about even yoga, not directly in terms of Maharshi Patanjali, but we see shlokas, and if we really interpret the shlokas, we will see yama, niyama, and each of the tenet of yama and niyama. We'll see the edicts of dharma. We'll see everything in one particular shlok, while it goes, as we say, kramse, in series. So we need to read the Gita also within the Gita itself to better understand. And this knowledge empowers Arjun to embark on the path of Swadharma and Swakarma. Arjun was a Kshatriya, a prince, and he had the duty to maintain law and order. And law and order means also you have to eliminate crooked ideas, and you have to suppress the crooked ideas, the crooked doings of people, the evil doings. And if the question arises, then we see Maryada Purushottam Shri Ramji fighting Ravan. It was Dharma Yuddha. Arjun, as the leader of the Pandavas fighting the Kauravas, again it was Dharma Yuddha. And if we see Manusmriti, it leads us to Dharmo Rakshati Rakshita. Stand for Dharma, and Dharma will protect us and humanity at large. Otherwise, evil will be riding high, and then humanity to the drains, to the gutters. So it's really to unfold that. And this mantra, when it's saying Deva apne janma ko divya janma banaye, then it says Krishwa kritno akritam yat. जो पहले हुआ नहीं वैसे कर्म करो. Do the duties as per the divine guidance, the inner voice within us. So in simple terms, the Rishis also tells us the unfolding of the knowledge from the Vedas into the Upaveda, the Brahman Granthas, the Upanishad, the Darshan Shastra, the Itihas, is mainly for the purpose of explaining it to various people because their level of understanding differs. It's a more, as we say, the same subject explained in different ways from different angles, just because of the various levels of understanding of each individual. And we go into the fundamental of Sanatana Hindu Dharma. God is one, Ekam Sad Vipra Bahuda Vadanti, or as we say in Aarti Bhajan, in simple Hindi, Tum bina aur na dooja, or tum ho ek agochar ek. And then souls, multitude of them, and benefactors, which we know as Devatas, not God. Devatas, benefactor, God is also a Devata, but then is Mahadev in one term because the supreme Devata, the supreme benefactor. But the other Devatas can be living or non-living beings. Non-living beings like earth, water, fire, air, space, etc., which provides us the amenities we need to live. Living beings, trees, which enable sustains life by taking carbon dioxide, giving us oxygen. Plants gives us fruits and vegetables. Other creatures are there to maintain the ecological balance of nature. So everything is explained into details. Depending upon our level of understanding, is where we want to start. For the beginner, you may take the Gita as the first step. You may take the Mahabharata or the Ramayana. And remember, the Mahabharata, it's not only the Gita, which is full of teachings. We have the Viduraniti, the Shanti Parva, all of these are inspiring. Then we have the Ramayana of Maharshi Valmiki. Then we go into Upanishads, which is in simple Hindi translations, very good translations are there. The Darshan Shastras, and we now start rising, going into deeper and deeper knowledge. That's the only purpose of this panoply of literature in Sanatana Dharma. The goal is one: God realization in Samadhi. It happens only through the process of Ashtanga Yoga, Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, and Samadhi. So we'll be probably covering a bit of these next week because we'll be celebrating International Yoga Day on 21st and looking into going probably into the depth of it. But remember, all these literature tells us or guides us. It says Anu Dyava Prithivi, the first three words of the mantra which I will refer to. Dyav or Prithivi ka anukaran karana. Just look at the luminous bodies. In turn, they give us light, like the sun during the day, the moon during the night. Prithivi is the sustainer of life, the place where we live. We get the food, we get water, we get air by living on this earth, etc. So Prithivi is usually called Mata, Bhumi Mata, for that purpose. So the other mantra which refers also to that, Swasti Pantha Manu Charema Surya Chandrama Saveva. So let's continue on the path of Dharma firmly anchored on Dharma, like the sun and the moon, which never deviate from their path. That is, in short, the message of all these literature condensed for about half an hour. Any questions?
Hey, Acharya, you have explained it very well, and you took some Vedic mantras from the Veda also to explain all that. You explained that how the Krishna ji took some Vedic mantras and performed on the basis of those things, those Vedic mantras. Thank you, Acharya ji. We will be having sessions every Sunday evening at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Acharya will join us again every Sunday. Acharya will take us for towards the end.
So just a reminder, next week we'll be talking about yoga philosophy, and yoga philosophy, how it compares also with what is commonly known as yoga from various texts also. So we'll go into a comparative with a bit of the details and the purpose of yoga in life. So just please join us next week, and let's come to a close for today. Sitting down straight, closing the eyes gently, we'll do Om Jap. Deep inhale, and while exhaling, chant Om, listening to the Om sound waves and vibrations. Om. ध्यान के लिए धन्यवाद।